Hey, welcome to our DFW Market of the Moment update for the week of January 23rd. Michael Oldham of the Oldham team here with Chris Madrid, Cornerstone Mortgage Group. What's up, Chris?
Hey, man, good to be back. Good to be back. And I cannot believe the month has already flown by.
I know this month has been flying. 2023 is going quick, going quick.
Sure. Or
Well, let's jump into our housing trends from this past week. It's going to be very similar. We're going to see a lot of yellows, a lot of same as far as our three major components that we want to look at when we're looking at the market, which is sales price to list price, days on market, and then what the inventory is. That's what we focus on here. We feel those are the three most important aspects that you should be looking when you're looking at data. So let's look at our surrounding counties around the DFW area. Collin County still at just under 94% of list price to the sales price. That remained the same. Days on market remain the same at 33, and we kept that 2.2 month supply. Listings off just a tad, but nothing major. Sold's the same way. When I look at these numbers, nothing really stands out to me as earth shattering. Everything's pretty much stayed the same, which is kind of supporting our, I don't know if it's a mobilization of the market or I guess it's just a cooling down. We talked many times during 2021 to 2022, it was just hyper inflated home prices. Now they're kind of balancing back out. Dallas County still remaining our highest sales price to list price at nearly 95%. Days on market are lower in the Dallas market, and the month supply is also lower, which if you take the 1.8 month supply and you look at the 95% of list, that's where you're getting that little extra in Dallas County, is because there's a little bit less supply, thus there's more demand. And Grayson County remained the same in all areas, 8% below list price, 37 days on market, and they're at a 3.6 month supply. We look out at Tarrant County, Fort Worth, basically remain the same. They did lose a tenth of a month in supply. So that would tell me that the Tarrant County market, like the Dallas market, probably just a tad more competitive. And it probably is because you have a wide range of price points in those two counties. Parker County, just west of Fort Worth, is at 93.3%. Days on market remained at 50, and they have that 3.7 month supply. So in that county, you've got more supply, thus your days on market are up higher, and you get a little bit less than list. And then going over to Rockwall, we've talked several weeks that this might be the area in the Dallas area to be looking. You got 92.5% of list, days on market is 37, and there's a 3.3 month supply. So with that high of a supply, basically buyers have more options. So most likely you're going to get hit on your price a little more over in Rockwall. So you have anything to add, Chris?
no, keep going.
Cornerstone Mortgage Group, still the great service that you would expect from Mr. Madrid. Just got a new name. So we're going to jump into our current rates, and then take a look at our charts. What do we got going today, Chris?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So stocks and mortgage bonds are both lower to start the day. So not a whole lot of activity this week. So it's kind of a quiet week in the market. Tomorrow will be a report that could continue to help bonds and ultimately help mortgage rates. So hopefully that is the case. On average, if you're looking at purchasing a home today, mortgage rates are slightly lower. So you're looking at anywhere from 6.18 up to about 6.38 on a 30-year fixed. Conventional loan, assuming fairly decent credit, 720 and above. 15-year are also slightly lower, 5.24 to about 5.45, 5.5. VA and FHA are now sub 6, or have been, I guess I should say, sub 6. So FHA in the high 5s, 5.7, 5.9. VA again in that same 5.7 to 5.9 category. So that's all great news, and ultimately headed, like we've been saying, right, for a while, headed lower. It's not in a straight line. We're not going from 6 to 5% or even 4% in a straight line. So hopefully as the year progresses, we'll continue to see more great news. Inflation is coming down, thankfully. So with that, mortgage rates also come down. Again, one of the common things that we keep talking about is recession, right? Whether we are in a recession or going to be, the Fed is going to kind of force us into a recession. With the recession, mortgage rates come down, right? So again, that's just one of the other kind of key indicators that we've seen time and time again. As long as we've been tracking and looking at this data, however you want to call it, mortgage rates do come down after a recession as well. So that is the good news on the horizon. One of the things I wanted to talk about in the charts that we have coming up is CoreLogic came out with their mortgage loan performance. We can either go to it now or come back, but that's one of the things that we also want to touch on. And we can go back to charts for mortgage-backed security. So the big one here is the kind of the floors of support. We've made it above the 25-day moving average, and we are making a run, like we've been talking, for that for the 200-day, which is that blue line that we see kind of coming down. There's what's called a Fibonacci level right above that we've been testing for the last month. We've hit that 10, I think it's like 10167 range. We've hit it, gone up a little bit, come back, bounced off of it. We can kind of clearly see that on that right side of the charts. But thankfully enough, we're still moving in the right direction. And again, like we've been talking about, not in a straight line, right? There's up and over the last 3 months, which is the chart that we're seeing here, it's kind of up and down. So I would imagine we're going to continue to see that, but overall mortgage rates are moving in the right direction. The other relatively a quiet day in the market, in the news from an economic perspective, right? But one of the things that did come out today, you can go to the next slide, is CoreLogic's mortgage performance number came out today, and that was November to December, right? Which essentially has come out in January. 30-day delinquencies are up by 0.1%, 0.1, right? So I think it went from 2.8 in December up to about 2.9% in January. So not, against popular notions that you're hearing out in the media and everyone talking about that, foreclosures are going crazy. That's not accurate. We're up a 0.1% from December to January. And the longer delinquencies, so 90 days, 120 days, essentially remained unchanged. So just, the what we keep talking about on this vlog, is it a video blog? Is that what we're doing? Market updates?
Yeah, it's just an update, dude. It's just an update.
So there's just the two big things that have to happen in order for there to be a housing bubble, right? In order for there to be a housing crash, whatever you want to call it, is too much supply and ultimately not enough demand, right? And in order for that to happen, homes have got to be built at ridiculous levels. One, that's not happening, right? So we talked about that, I think, last week. And then two, delinquencies would have to be significantly higher in order for there to be just a surplus in inventory, which, again, based on this report today, as of right now, we'll knock on wood or do whatever we need to do. That is also not happening, right?
Yes.
So just, again, this idea that there's going to be a massive downturn in the housing market, we're not seeing that, so thankfully enough.
Yeah, last week I think we did a special little spot on the podcast talking specifically, about those three things. So demand is still high, rates coming down, the demand's going even higher, and builders are still anywhere probably 2 to 4 million homes behind where we should be.
Yeah.
Keep up with the
Conservatively
inventory.
building. Yeah, absolutely.
So just our
Absolutely.
basic, I don't know, it might have been 8th grade, but at least our senior economics class taught us
Sure.
the economy works on supply and demand. And when supply doesn't meet demand, that's when we have price appreciation. So anyway, you have anything else to add
No.
before we jump into our I'm going to go back to Hope. Go back to Chris's 3-month MBS chart here. And as we go back to last week, that January 16th time period, we're basically ticking along the same line, just barely moving up and down. So what's going to be interesting, what I wanted to look at was the 3 things that actually affect home affordability. Often we hear about it, but we don't hear what actually affects it. So Chris and I have been following the housing market for the last couple of years. We've talked a lot about housing affordability in those couple of years. And so today I wanted to take a look at it in more in depth and just take a look at the key factors that affect it. So according to the expert, the key factors that determine housing affordability are all projected to improve this year. We just looked at some data from CoreLogic. Here's a statement from their deputy chief economist. She says, with slowly improving affordability and a more optimistic economic outlook than previously believed, the housing market should show resilience in 2023. Resilience does not mean a boom. It does not mean a crash. Resiliency is whenever you keep moving forward, even though you've got things and obstacles in front of you.
Sure.
So what Selma is telling me here is that the housing market in 2023, although it's going to have some resistance, it's going to be resilient and it's not going to crash. That's what I'm getting from this statement. So let's look at the 3 things that actually affect the affordability of homes. And that would be A, mortgage rates. 2, it would be home prices. And the 3rd thing would be wages. So let's take a closer look at each one of these. So when we look at mortgage rates shot up to over 7% last year, which obviously pushed many buyers to put their plans on hold. Chris is in mortgage. He saw applications going down. I'm in real estate. I saw buyers getting out of the market. But if you look at it's looking different today as rates are starting to come down. Chris was just talking about, rates in the mid 5s to the low 6s right now. So well off that 7% mark. Senior economist for Realtor.com said, let's celebrate some good news. Mortgage rates are down with inflation showing a tangible slowdown. I do expect mortgage rates to follow suit in the months ahead. So just reiterating what Chris was talking about earlier, we also talked about it last week. If you haven't seen that video, you might want to jump back in our feed and look at it. But basically, we talked about during times of recession, mortgage rates typically go down historically, and home prices actually go up a tad. So what does that 1% change mean? So small change in rates definitely impacts purchasing power. With a 6% rate instead of 7%, buyers pay about $2,700 less every year on their mortgage. As a result, owning a home becomes affordable to about 1.4 million more renters and 4.3 million more homeowners. So that just goes back to our talk about supply and demand, that if rates come down get down to get down less than 1% less than the 7, down to 6, you have nearly 6 million home buyers could enter the market. And we've already talked about builders are that many homes behind, or half that many behind. So that stat really stuck out to me, how many home buyers could flood into the market, and what 1% interest rate, really means.
Yeah, on that note, right? So if you own a home now, right, and you're in a, let's say, $400,000 or $500,000 home at 3%, right? Well, typically as time progresses, you have more equity in your home. Maybe you've got some raises with work, and you want to kind of maybe get a little bit bigger, nicer, whatever it is, right? And you're going from 500 to, let's say, 800. Well, if you have a $500,000 home at 3%, and you're looking at an $800,000 home at 7%, that doesn't look so hot, right?
Yeah.
It looks a lot better at 6, but if you're talking about 5%, 3 to 5 doesn't sound near as bad as 3 to 7.
Definitely.
So a lot of those current homeowners, right, at 3% or 4%, are more likely to consider upsizing at a 5% mortgage versus 7. So that there's that component that not a whole lot of people are talking about. There's those buyers that are, they maybe aren't in a position to be able to kind of upsize, but they just don't feel as good about going from 3 to 6, or a couple months ago 3 to 7. So
Definitely. All right, let's look at our next factor, which is going to be home prices. So that second factor at play is home prices. Home prices have made headlines, obviously, over these past few years because they simply skyrocketed from the pandemic and different things of that nature. So after a big boom over the past 2 years, there will essentially be no change nationally, is what Lawrence Yun, of the chief economist of the National Association of Realtors, is saying. He says half the country may experience small price gains, while the other half may see slight price declines. So overall, nationally, we are, economists are projecting home prices to basically stay flat where they're at as of right now. But as we know, real estate is local. Chris and I have talked about our DFW market. So although prices will likely be flat in most markets, others could see small gains or slight declines. I would say our local market, with the PGA coming here, now announcing Universal Studios, all of these different things that are coming to Collin County in our area, I would project that our home prices would be in one of those markets that see some slight uptick. Not our 15 to 20% we saw the last couple of years, but maybe a good solid 5% would probably make everybody happy. Yeah. All right. And take a quick look at our third factor is going to be wages. So the final component in the affordability equation is wages. And when you think about affordability, remember the full picture includes more than just mortgage rates and prices. Wages need to be factored in as well, because wages have been rising. Many buyers have renewed opportunity in the market. And Chris just talked on this a second ago. If you got into a house, a $500,000 house at a 3% interest rate, and then over the last 3 or 4 to 5 years, you have seen an increase in your income as well, then you would be someone that most likely would be looking to move up into possibly a larger home. So obviously that's very small. So just want to, this is from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, shows how wages have increased over time from 2000 over the last 20 some years. They have, pretty much like most things in our country, seen some times of downward, turns, but overall continually ticking up. So wages going up obviously helps affordability. So your bottom line, while affordability hurdles are not completely going away this year, based on the current trends and projections, 2023 should bring some sense of relief to home buyers who have faced growing challenges. From Mike Fraternatone, the chief economist of Mortgage Bankers Association, which I know Chris follows like a crazy person. Rates are expected to move lower for the year. Home price growth is expected to cool, both of which will help affordability. So obviously, if you're thinking about buying or selling a home this year, connect with us. We advise you in what's happening in this housing market and do everything we can to help you meet your home ownership goals.
Absolutely.
All right. I don't know why that's there. There should be, as we always say, there's a ton of real estate news floating around these days. If you want to get the real scoop, get in touch with Chris or myself. And we will break down the market of the moment for you. Get in touch with Chris at Cornerstone Mortgage Group, 214-734-1531. Get in touch with Amy or I at 469-369-0873. Anything to add before we get off of here, Chris?
Man, make it a great week. We got a little bit of snow. I don't know if y'all caught it or you were already fast asleep, but we got a little bit of snow in North Texas. It didn't stick around. It didn't stick around for the morning though. By the morning it was all gone, but it was nice when it.
I think ours was gone. I think ours was gone before the night was up.
Yeah, for sure.
So
for sure.
All right. Well, we will be back next week with another